Namaste. I am Dr. Narasimha Siddhanti Maladi. I am making this video to explain my routine, daily routine, following Prahlad Vidya I have developed over an year or so. So, as I explain as I go through my routine, I will explain why I am doing this. Okay. First thing is what I eat in a day. I get up around 5 o'clock, attend nature's call, and I am ready to drink water at 6 o'clock. I drink 1 cup of water, realizing that I have a tract from mouth to the end of the body, and I have to load things in a particular order. So the first thing, if there is a runner, if there are 3 runners, a fast runner, a medium speed runner, and a slow runner, and if they have to go in a particular one-way track or one track, the fast runner should be fast. Therefore, I have to eat foods that are pre-digested or get digested fast in my track here. So the first thing is I drink water. Then next, an hour later or so, I drink lemon water with or without honey. Then I drink some juices and then real fruits or banana. So from 6 o'clock to 11 o'clock, in 5 hours, I drink or eat fruits, probably finishing with banana, which is a semi-solid. Okay. Now, then at 12 o'clock, from 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock, I eat what are known as carbohydrates. These are called Rajasic foods. In the morning, 5 hours, I ate sattvic foods, means that give instant energy, juices, and instant vitality like juices and fruits. Now, I take 1 hour gap, okay, at 12 to 3, that is 3 hours. I take Rajasic foods or energy producing foods, okay, that give sustained energy. These are carbohydrates. So around 12 o'clock noon, I take one bread which is made out of wheat or multigrain bread, and then along with it I put it into, toast it and make it into pieces and soak it in coconut milk. This is the combination I do. So I eat it around 12 o'clock or between 12 and 1, and then after an hour I drink what is known as V8. That is, it's a made juice of vegetables with tomato as a base, okay, and I these two basically, and I may take a small snack which is anything I like, but by 3 o'clock I finish these two, that is energy producing, that is I have taken enough calories to give me sustained energy. It may be 1 slice of bread or 2 slices of bread depending upon my requirement for the day. Okay, now I am going to enter this third phase, that is the tamasic food. Tamasic doesn't necessarily mean the popular understanding. By tamas means mass building, that is muscle building food. That is called, okay, I get rice slowly cooked, okay, from around 1 o'clock or so with some vegetables, and then around 4 o'clock, that is I finish my Rajasic food from 12 to 3, and then 4 to 6 I am going to eat the muscle building food. So at 4 o'clock I take a cup of curd or yogurt, as you say, preferably a yogurt with less fat, okay, like Greek yogurt or something like that. So that is done. Then around 5 o'clock I eat cooked rice or anything similar added with some of the lentils, okay, and a vegetable also. Then I eat that, and in that I may add some kind of a seasoning or whatever you want to do that. So I take in 2 groups, one is curd and another is this food. It may be half a cup or 1/4 cup and half a cup of lentils or whatever it is, slowly cooked. So this requires my tamasic food in 2 hours. Now I have eaten in 5 hours sattvic food, in 3 hours rajasic food, and 2 hours tamasic food. So basically, my sattvic content is more. Then rajoguna is 3 hours in 3 times basically, and then 2 in these 2 hours. So by 6 o'clock, I have uh, uh, ended my eating. In this final type of fooding, if I want to add some kind of special things like tahini, that is a cream of sesame or something else, I add in these foods, slowly cooked or etc. So therefore, I try to see that I get all the requirements for my health in these 3 kinds of food: sattvic, that is fruit, juices, and then carbohydrates, and then proteins. Okay, so from 6 o'clock to 6 o'clock, I have been eating several times in small quantities, and I don't depend upon anybody because a slow cooker can be run easily. So even if I neglect it for half an hour, it doesn't matter. Okay, there are no strong spices, but if I want spices, I'll add them. Okay, but I don't do anything in a frying pan. Therefore, this gives me enough energy. Now, I'm doing this for the last few months after coming to United States, and it is working well. Okay, I don't have to go to a grocery store. I get the groceries delivered into my home, and every day I walk for about 2 miles. Okay, and then I do my work, etc. So this is the eating, because eating is the most important thing in my life. If I eat well, I can become free from A, B, C, D. What is meant by that? A means arthritis, B means blood pressure, high blood pressure, C means cancer, and D means diabetes. Because in my family, most people died out of these 4. So therefore, I do not want to die because of these things. In fact, I would like to die whenever I desire to die or leave the body in that matter. Okay, therefore, I have to keep my body most important. I am not looking for moksha. I don't say I am not the body. I am the body. I am the bones. I am everything here. Therefore, I am not saying I am an Atman. I may be Atman also. But right now, I want to keep a very healthy body. This is my religion. This is my Prahlad Vidya. Then how do I, beyond this eating, this is the building block for my body, then what do? I will discuss it now. For a lamp to burn, you need air and you need oil. For a body to be living, you need air, again, which you take through the nose, and you need food. Either it is oil or food for the body. Basically they are what you call glucose, and air contains oxygen. So a lamp requires oxygen, a body requires oxygen. A lamp requires oil, my body requires food. And this is the nose through this, and this is the food. So I have doing it. Now so far I have described about food. Then let me take about breathing. Okay? People who are living even healthily are dying. They say the prana is gone. Therefore, there is something beyond the air. That means I talked about I am taking care of my gross body. Now let me take care of the what you call the subtle body. Again, let me take the example of the light, a lamp. So if there is no air, or if there is too much air, gust of air, the lamp will, there won't be any lamp. It is extinguished. On the other hand, suppose there is a steady supply of air, then if the oil is gone, the lamp is gone. Or if the oil is there, the lamp is gone, means there is no air. So for the lamp to be eternal or be sustainable, you should give a constant energy of prana from any source. then or oxygen, and constant energy of oil for the lamp to burn for a long time. In the same way, if my body has to sustain, then I have to work with what is called prana. Prana belongs to the subtle body. Then I have to give it subtle food, because a dead body cannot eat, cannot breathe. So therefore, there is a different body called Sukshma Sarira. So if I feed prana and if I feed food, what is that food? That food in yogic terms is called apana. So if I give a constant prana and constant apana, then my inner body can live longer. Okay? I don't have to lose. So therefore, where is this prana coming? Where is apana coming in the subtle body? This is the basic question I want to answer here. Many people who meditate, they keep thinking, I am receiving prana, prana, prana. Very good, they are receiving prana. But for the prana to burn, you need apana. That is, you need oil, subtle oil. But they are not talking about it. So, unless you add, you also require apana. Most people neglect this part. So, therefore, I am receiving prana, I am receiving prana. So, now, so those people who talk about prana, they are thinking of apana. Then where is the apana coming? It is coming from the earth. How is it coming? It is coming in a straight line, vertical line, following the rules of gravity. If I put an apple here, it will fall like in a straight line. Suppose you put an apple here, it goes straight into the body. And that axis is in India, in Hinduism, it is called Jyotirlingam. So when you breathe, if you imagine that you are receiving prana, you will receive it. And if you also imagine apana is coming from the ground, that is the food. That is the subtle air and subtle food. Subtle food is apana. Many people do not know this. So if they simultaneously come here, suppose they meet in the middle of your brain, then what happens? There will be burning of this. Just as lamp is the lamp will be learning, inner lamp will be learning, and if you breathe constantly enough, so if you will supply enough prana, if you enough apana, then that will be burning and you will be living longer and longer, perhaps eternally. But many people neglected this. Therefore, though they are receiving prana, there is no apana. That is, you have a stove, you are constantly supplying air, but there is no there is no wood there. So if it is not wood there, even if you get any amount of prana, it doesn't live there. So therefore, what we need for life to sustain, even in the inner body, is prana and apana. This is emphasized in Bhagavad Gita, but many people don't talk about it. They are talking about uniting of prana and apana within the body. But if you can receive the prana from outside into this, you can also receive apana, that is the food, the subtle food, right from the earth. So this is the basis of Prahlada Vidya. So when these two combine, what happens is this prana and apana, just as oxygen and glucose, when they combine together, they break up into carbon dioxide, energy, and water. In the same way, in a subtle way, the prana and apana, when they combine together, they break up into karma, and then that is called vyana, then udana, that is energy, then samana, that is called amruta, water. Okay, subtle water means amruta. So therefore, if we get rid of the carbon dioxide from the body or the karma from the body, we can keep this yoga energy and amruta of the waters, and we can live longer. And this is the secret of the yogis who lived for 200 years, 300 years, but they did not explain it in these clear terms. Therefore, as an engineer, as a scientist, I have seen this phenomenon and I am explaining it. We are trying to make an experiment on that. Okay? So, the prana is coming through the axis, Jyotirlinga, like this, like a tube, and the apana is imagining from the ground. That is, this is like Tirtham and Prasadam. Tirtham is coming from the top, that is prana, and prasadam is coming from the bottom, from the food, and they are meeting here, and when they meet here, they split into what is called a karma, and then yogic energy, and then amruta, nano, at the nano level, let's say. So what we don't require is karma. So how do you send the karma? The karma is sent through the ears like this. That is why in Devi Bhagavatam they said the karma, the wax in the ears of Vishnu, okay, produces two great demons, Sumbha and Nisumbha. So therefore, the Sumbha and Nisumbha are the limiting forces, the karma in us. So therefore, you imagine this karma is going out of these two. So what you are left with is yogic energy, Amrita Tattva. So by this imagination, you are whenever you are breathing consciously, you are getting prana from outside and apana from the ground. This is also known as Gangavataranam, okay, Tirtha and Prasada. So, but people have codified this and they have given them enough time to figure out what it is. Just as we have figured all these miracles, like, I'm talking to you, you are seeing, you are listening. Just as science has produced, in spirituality also, some people have experimented and result into this kind of. So, how do you breathe to make this prana, to get the prana from the cosmos and get the apana, and then also Kantikat Arma out. And there is a book called Devi Pravachanams. These are the sayings the Divine Mother revealed between 1958 and 60 through my Guru. So in that it says, Om is not enough. What is required is Haom. So as you breathe in, you mentally chant Haom. And imagine prana is coming like this into here, and then apana is coming from the bottom like this. Okay, they are meeting in the middle of the brain, in the midbrain, and they are. So this H sound, not Om, Haom. Then Harim. When you breathe out, you Harim. So now the cycle is to get the prana and apana, you mentally chant Haom as you breathe. Okay. Then you can pause, and in that pause you can imagine your guru, sitting in your head, or a deity, or whatever it is. So imagine them, and then when you are breathing out, okay, you say Harim going out. Then you pause a little bit. In that pause, imagine, okay, Hanuman, if you are a Hindu, okay, Hanuman, and then Kamakshi Devi, that is, she represents the earth energy, and Hanuman represents the pranic energy. So you imagine them in your own head, okay, just imagination, okay. So then afterwards, and how long you imagine is left to you, that which is comfortable. So Haom, hold and see your Guru or Paramashiva or any deity, okay, a male deity for that matter. And then you, after you Harim, when you take out, okay, imagine that your karma is going out, and then when you are pausing, you are imagining. So the Hanuman is providing you with the prana to enter here, and Kamakshi is providing you the energy or the food coming from the earth to it, because Kamakshi is the manifestation of the Divine Mother. Okay, so in this way, Haom Harim will give you constant supply of pranic, but this will not happen overnight. You have to make your imagination materialized. That takes time. In that process, since I have covered several years, I am about 79, and in another 10-15 years, probably, if I keep my body this, I can realize my imagination. I can manifest my imagination of actually receiving the prana and apana. Then probably I may not be able to, I need not so much food outside, because I am getting enough food. Okay? Now we talked about how we do pranayama sitting in a comfortable position. Okay? It doesn't matter what kind of posture you sit and all that. Basically, we are working with the this Jyotirlinga vertical axis, because that is the axis of gravity, and then this is the horizontal, is going out, prana is going out. Now this is when you are waking time. Okay, when you are actually sitting, and you can do for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is, whenever you feel like. Okay, then what do you do when you sleep? When you sleep, okay, you are horizontal. Okay, you put your head on a flat surface. Okay, you are sleeping on a flat, then you are looking up. So how does the prana and apana enter your body? Because it always enters vertically. Prana comes down, apana. So therefore, then how do they meet in the midbrain? Understand, this portion is on the top, and this portion called cerebellum in the body is at the bottom. So cerebellum is also called the mouth of God in Autobiography of a Yogi by Sri Yogananda. What is meant by mouth of God? That is the mouth of the subtle body when you are sleeping. When you are sitting, this is the mouth of the God, because it is entering prana. Wherever prana enters, that is one, and wherever food enters, the food enters from the food, the subtle food enters from the perineum up, and prana comes. Okay, when you are doing it, this will receive the energy or the food, subtle food from the ground. Then where does the prana come? Prana enters here. So therefore, prana, when you are sleeping, the prana is entering here. This is okay. Prana is entering from the top, from that, and apana is coming, and they are meeting in the midbrain, same place. So therefore, you can make your sleeping for about 15 minutes. You breathe Om Harim basically, and so this is produced in this vertical axis, and then when you say Harim, again the same yes is going out. So that means whether you are sitting or sleeping, you are under gravity. After some time, if you can receive it with the power of mind, you can become anti-gravitational. This is how people levitated. When they receive the energy from the body, that is, see, it is all, naturally we are all falling down. So when you reverse that, that is when you are able to have a good relationship and get the apana from bottom, they are able to levitate. That's the secret. But it has to be worked out by the ordinary man. But these are not, this is not the only way. Okay, people have done it by different methods, but this is one scientific method which I am explaining to you, which you can easily understand, very easily. Okay, now practice it, and so when you do that, when you do this, you can use this yogic energy for the healing of the body, for the healing of the mind, for the healing of the relationship, but with an affirmation. That is, when you do this exercise, I am doing this for this purpose. It is like, I am spending this money to buy a house. I am spending the money to pay hospital bills. I am spending the money to perform a marriage. So therefore, this money is common, but its use are different. In the same way, this yogic energy can be used. And then this samana, which is called the nectar or the amrita, it can be also used for nourishing the body or something else, etc. Whatever you want to keep it for a longer time. Okay, this is, I have talked about the basics of Prahlad Vidya, and I'll be glad to discuss more and more, but I wanted to do this only for 15 minutes, but it went to 25 minutes. That's okay. Breathe in Om, breathe out Harim. In between, that is, you think of a guru, and then at the end of the Harim, you think of Hanuman and somebody, a lady, a deity of your choice. Thank you very much. Again, my name is Narsam Siddhanti Malladi, and if you want to call me in a WhatsApp call from India or United States, you can call 817 and 951 4710. That's from India. And United States, it is 956 207 9275. Or you can email me at Malladi Academy, Malladi Malladi Academy, one word, at gmail.com, or visit malladiacademy.com. Thank you very much. Namaste again to all of you. Bye.